Hi and hello there, sports fans. This is your host, Josh Carney, on the Out of Bounds podcast, presented by the Penn IUP Student Voice since 1926. Switched up the intro because good friend Kyle Condor was ragging me earlier, so it's changed. Thank you, Kyle. But this is the 13th episode of the Out of Bounds podcast. As I mentioned, I'm your host, Josh Carney, joined in studio by Pat Damp and Mike Gosnell, the self-proclaimed hockey guys.
Did you make up that intro on the spot? That was pretty good.
I think I did.
I like it.
It's not going to stay. It's not going to stay. I don't know. Goose, how are we? Did you shed enough tears yesterday?
No.
Oh.
I'm missing his first game. So.
We'll get to that. We will get to that. But Goose's favorite player has been traded. We all kind of expected that. But so today on the podcast, we're breaking down the trade deadline, winners and losers, and moving forward. And in the second half of the podcast, we are going to preview NFL free agency, as Dimitri George has been chomping at the bit for a good 6 months, it appears, since the Steelers have been out of it. No, that was not a shot at you. I'm sorry. But anyway, back to hockey. We're just going to run down the trade tracker. The first one on here was the last trade made, and the Penguins acquired Lee Stempniak from the Calgary Flames for a third-round draft pick. Pat, what do you think of that?
I like what the Penguins did yesterday. Even though I did expect them to get Ryan Kessler, they addressed the needs that they had. The needs they had were to upgrade their bottom six, and they didn't spend a lot to upgrade that bottom six to make it better. And the way I look at it is your bottom six doesn't have to be great. They just have to not be awful. And their bottom six, as before the trade deadline, was not very good.
Let me ask you this, Goose, before we get to you, Pat. Does Stempniak play with Crosby at some point?
I think they're going to start him there.
See how he does?
Yeah, kind of the welcome here, let's see what you can do, and then they'll probably, if he doesn't do well, they'll probably put him down in the bottom six. But
2010, he had 28 goals. So he can score. He does have some familiarity with players on the Penguins. He went to college with Tanner Glass at Dartmouth. So he's going to come into a situation where he knows someone. Anytime you can play alongside Sidney Crosby, you should easily adjust in a sense. But Goose, what do you think of this deal for both teams? Obviously, Calgary continuing to rebuild, getting a third-round pick. It's a second deadline in a row that Calgary has made a deal with Pittsburgh. So some familiarity there, but what do you think in the return for Pittsburgh?
Well, I think this deal works out better than Jeremy McGinley would have ever worked out because Stempniak's going to stick around longer. I'm not sure what his contract is right now, but I like this deal for Pittsburgh. I mean, they didn't back up a Brinks truck for Ryan Kessler. Good thing they didn't, because I think they would have regretted that in the long run, because they really didn't need Ryan Kessler. You fill needs. Stempniak fills the need. He'll play with Crosby, but I think he's going to shift around from first, second, or third.
To answer your question, Goose, Stempniak is an unrestricted free agent after the 2014-15 season. Well, he's going to be a free agent then. So he's done after this year. Yeah. One and done. Well, he could come back. He's not that old. I believe he's...
No, he's in his 20s. He's not very...
I think he's 20... I want to say 28 for some... 31. 31.
Okay. Well, he's a little older, but he's going to be a player that is versatile, that you can put him in any situation, I think. Probably one of the more underrated moves of the day. I think Lee Stempniak's probably it's a good pickup on the cheap, and I think that's what the Penguins needed to do.
Another deal that the Penguins made, they traded a third-round draft pick and a fifth-round draft pick for Marcel Gottsch from the Florida Panthers. He is also an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. I would assume that they can bring him back. He's only making $1.7 million this year. He could be a low cap hit for a bottom six guy if he works out here. But Goose, was this a good move by Ray Shero and the Penguins, getting a veteran guy like Gottsch into this lineup?
I think so. I mean, he brings a lot of intangibles. I think you can feature him on the PK if you really wanted to. He knows his role. He's going to be a third-line guy. Possibly fourth. He could probably crack the second lineup if there's an injury. But he knows his role. He's getting paid as such. And really, when they were announcing Marcel Gottsch had been traded, I knew where he was going. He was going to Pittsburgh. It made the most sense to me. A team that could really use a guy like Marcel Gottsch is Pittsburgh. In an interview, I don't know who he did it with. He said he wanted to come here, and one of his destinations if he would have been dealt, and he was. And this is another really smart move. Nothing major. You see what you get. You get what you see from Marcel Gottsch. Not a flashy player, but he won't wow you on the score sheet. But he has 11 goals this year. So
for a mediocre Panthers team, and that's being fair.
Yeah, that's being generous.
That's being very generous.
But
they're better than the Sabres, who we'll get to in a bit, but they're not very good.
The move. It's simple. No risk. There's absolutely no risk. If you bring in Marcel Gottsch, there's no risk. You can let him go at the end of the season, let him walk. If not, bring him back. No risk at all, and that's the kind of move I think the Penguins needed to make.
Less was more for Ray Shero at this deadline. Like I said, Kessler would have been nice to have. Because it would have been a hockey trade. You would have had him past this season.
They would have had 3 runs at a couple.
And I do agree with Goose, though, that there really wasn't a need, per se, for Kessler, but he's also the kind of guy that you would not mind having.
I think
find
it was,
a fit.
Yeah, I think it was a thing where Shero and Pilesma fell in love with him at the Olympics and said, man, it would be so nice to have him in a Penguins uni. Let's try and make this happen. Not for terms of, hey, this guy's going to win us a cup. It's love his work ethic, love what he can bring to the team, and he can be that third-line center that the Penguins have so desperately needed since trading away Stahl, because if you remember, that's when they were at the height of their power, because it was so difficult to match up against a team that down the middle had Crosby, Malkin, and then Stahl.
Well, I'll say this. I won't be shocked. I'm saying it now. I will not be shocked if talks resume between Vancouver and Pittsburgh at the NHL draft about Kessler.
Yeah.
And I also saw a report, I don't know the full accuracy on it, if it's true or not, but there were some rumblings that apparently Vancouver general manager was asking for Olli Maatta thrown into the deal.
Not a chance.
And all I can imagine that phone call going as, yeah, you throw in Olli Maatta, click.
No, it ain't happening.
They're not going to part with him.
No. I wanted Kessler. You and I were texting back and forth all day. Kessler, please. I mean, I love Ryan Kessler's game. When he was at the height of his career with Vancouver, he was pretty damn good. He's fallen off a bit. I don't think he's happy playing in towards the system. He doesn't like Vancouver. So I'm okay with him wanting out. Another guy that wanted out of a situation that we're going to talk about quickly was Martin St. Louis from the Tampa Bay Lightning, who landed with Goose, your New York Rangers. I thought it was an awful deal both ways, in my opinion, because the Rangers gave up too much, trading Callahan, a first and a second-round pick for a conditional second. It's probably going to be a second-round pick. I believe it's if
2014.
If what happens.
If the Rangers make the conference finals, it turns into a first round this year.
So if they don't, it'll be a second-round pick, though?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's going to be a second-round pick regardless. We'll get into that later, but I don't think the Rangers make the conference finals. For the Lightning, yeah, you gave up an aging player, but you also traded away one of the greatest.
Heart and soul.
Yeah, you traded away the heart and soul of your team. You traded away one of the greatest Lightning players in history, and vice versa for the Rangers. Yeah. And vice versa for the Rangers. You traded away the heart and soul of the team, the captain, the previous Captain America in the 2010 Olympics. I don't think Tampa Bay re-signs Callahan. I think he's going to test the market and get paid somewhere around the $7 million he wanted by Goose. You think Buffalo, and I have to agree with you. Pat, where do you think he lands?
I'm with you guys on that. He's from around that area.
Yeah.
There's a comfort factor there. But as for the trade, I mean, just I don't want to say I lost a lot of respect for St. Louis because he did what he did, but he did it the right way. He didn't come out in the media. He didn't make a big fuss about it. He didn't trash his GM. He went low-key with it. But it's also a little bit of a slap in the face to Steven Stamkos. He's back.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Your buddy's gone.
Yeah.
Both teams getting rid of their heart and soul. And
let me ask you this quickly, because you mentioned St. Louis was a bit over the top in it, but he didn't go into the public domain. Ryan Kessler wanted out. I think people that are criticizing St. Louis for what he did are missing the
Kessler.
Yeah, and St. Louis didn't go to reporters and say I went out. He went directly to the GM.
Yep.
Whereas Kessler made it known in the media. And Pat, you had a rebuttal to that?
What I was going to say was it's two different players. You got a guy who's been a career. Well, I mean, they both were career players, I believe. Kessler's always been with Vancouver.
And St. Louis came in
With Calgary.
Yeah, he played with Calgary to start.
Well, one guy was a
Yeah.
brand with Tampa Bay. St. Louis was Tampa Bay. You think Tampa Bay Lightning, you think
Hell, he
Vincent.
still is.
Yeah. You,
He always will be.
you think Vincent Lecavalier and Martin St. Louis.
Now they're wearing different uniforms.
Exactly. And you didn't exactly. When you think Vancouver Canucks, you think Sedin Twins.
Oh, yeah, and
I think Marcus Naslund.
And Marcus Naslund.
I was going to mention
Paul
Robbie
Murray.
Lou,
But yeah.
Roberto Luongo. I mean, well, he's gone now.
Well, Luongo, that's a whole different controversy.
Happy
But,
to be gone.
Yeah.
but I think, all honesty, a guy like St. Louis, the heart and soul of the team, he basically is that team. To hang guys out to dry like that, I just don't think's right. But I can't fully disagree that what Kessler did was similar.
Another trade I wanted to talk about, and I think this is very important, was David Legwand going from the Nashville Predators, who was, in a sense, the heart and soul of the Predators. He was their first ever first-round pick and was dealt to the Red Wings for forward Patrick Eaves. Oh, I can't even pronounce his name. Forward Kalle Yarncroc.
Yarncroc.
It was close.
Yarncroc.
All right, that was close. And it's the hockey guy there. And a 2014 conditional third-round pick. I believe it goes to a second if they make the semifinals of the
Who, Nashville or Detroit?
Detroit.
Detroit.
Yes.
That's a stretch, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love the move for the Red Wings because with Zetterberg out, they need a two-way center. And I think they get this guy. Legwand's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. I don't see why he wouldn't re-sign in Detroit. But Nashville didn't really get much in return. Patrick Eaves has never put it all together.
no.
I don't know much about the second guy. Goose, you want to pronounce his name again?
Yarncroc?
Yeah, I don't really know much about Yarncroc. Do you have any insight on him?
From what I understand what he can bring, I think he's going to be an offensive guy, not real high end. Third line maybe, second line if you can get enough out of him. Not really. I don't really know this player that well, but if he comes from Detroit, I trust what they're doing. So
Yeah. Pat, what do you think of this move?
All in all, that's a this has been a trade. There was a trend this deadline, and with the exception of a few trades here and there, a lot of teams were filling needs the way they needed to, and this was very, very similar to what we were saying about the Penguins. They needed a versatile center. They needed a two-way guy because Zetterberg's out. They had a guy on their radar. They knew how to get him, and they went out and got him. And I like the move for Detroit. I like the move for Nashville, just because not that I don't think Legwand would continue to be a factor in Nashville, but sometimes you just got to part ways. And I think it was about that time for Legwand, and I think he's going to flourish in a system like Babcock's in Detroit.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see him play for Mike Babcock in that system. I think he can be a solid two-way forward that he always has been, but I think his goal numbers will increase. He's going to start getting more time on the power play, I'm assuming. But another trade, and this was my favorite trade at the deadline. The Washington Capitals acquired goalie Yaroslav Halak and a 2015 third-round draft pick from the Buffalo Sabres for goalie, I'm going to pronounce this. Goose, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Michael Neuvirth? Neuvirth, same thing.
TH.
And defenseman Rostislav Klesla, close. Never really heard of Klesla. I believe he came from the Coyotes in the Erat deal.
yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But I like the deal for both teams.
Well,
Here's why. Neuvirth is gonna. I compare Neuvirth to Varlamov. Varlamov wasn't great when he was traded from the Capitals. In my opinion, when the Avalanche traded for him, they overpaid. Okay, but now Varlamov is flourishing in Colorado, and I think Halak, if he can get hot again in the playoffs, can make the Capitals a very dangerous team. What say you, Pat?
I have the Capitals as one of my deadline day winners, just because even though they still have a very questionable, very I'm not going to say bad, but definitely not good defense. They have a really good goaltender in Halak to help that. And the other thing that they did that I really liked, if, you might get to it later, you might not, because this was before deadline day, they picked up Dustin Penner, which is a great move for them because you bring in a veteran guy who's won a championship and knows how to win.
Yeah, I agree with you. Goose, what do you think about this deal?
Now Neuvirth doesn't have any pressure on him to perform, really.
Same with what happened with Varlamov.
I was gonna get to that because when Varlamov went to Colorado, there was no expectation there at all. Now he's starting to earn his money, and Neuvirth wasn't really happy in Washington. He demanded a trade earlier in the year, and he got his wish. He went to a bad team this year, probably going to be a bad team next year. But now there's no high expectation for him. And now Halak has the task of basically bailing out Washington because their defense is not very good.
Yeah.
And they have some players, Alex Ovechkin in particular, that don't like to play defense, and some forwards that are a little lackluster in that area.
I think that's where Penner's going to help out, is he's going to kind of instill this defensive philosophy. I mean, because he's a terror when it comes to back checking and throwing his weight around. No one really scares me on that Capitals lineup besides maybe Tom Wilson when it comes to size and just the way he throws his weight around.
Tom Wilson's going to be a very good player.
A very good two-way player because I believe in AHL, he scored a ton of goals, didn't he? OHL, yeah, he scored a ton of goals.
Penner's two-time Stanley Cup champion for not an accident.
Nope.
So teams must like him. He's bounced around a lot, which I think he's just a victim of the numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
People like what he does. So.
What about Klesla?
Older, broke into the league with Columbus.
So he's been around the block.
He's been around. You're not going to get much out of him. I think he stays in the NHL. We're almost done now. I think that was just a throw-in deal to Buffalo, maybe to give them some veteran presence on the blue line. Nothing really you can say much about Rostislav Klesla. I respect him, but his career is not going anywhere right now.
Some minor moves. You're going to have to help me with this pronunciation. The Avalanche traded goalie Rito Berra. Well,
Flames traded Rito Berra.
That's right. Yeah, I'm looking at it the other way. So the Flames traded Rito Berra to the Avs for a 2014 second-round draft pick. Is that insurance in case Jaguar or Varlamov go down? Or is that just a move to get an AHL goalie?
That's a move to back up Varlamov next year because I don't know what
Jaguar's probably done.
Gonna do. For the Flames, I don't know who their backup's going to be, and they're going to go with Kari Ramo and someone else. I have no idea.
There's
kind of surprised at that one.
Just some other minor moves really quickly. We're not really going to touch on them. The Canucks traded defenseman Rafael Diaz to the Rangers for a 2015 fifth-round draft pick. The Oilers traded defenseman Nick Schultz to the Blue Jackets for a fifth-round draft pick. It doesn't have the year. I'm assuming it's this year. Mm-hmm. What else do we have? The Predators traded recently acquired goalie Devin Dubnyk to the Canadiens for future considerations, and Dubnyk was immediately reassigned to Hamilton in the AHL.
Rough couple days for Dubnyk.
I feel bad for him. He was always a goalie I liked. I thought he had tremendous potential. Anytime a goalie's 6'4"?
5.
6'5", and if he had defense.
He had it in Nashville, didn't do.
That team was bad. I mean,
he is bad.
Well, with Rene back, Can we please understand that Pekka Rinne is a billion times better than Dubnyk?
Just saying, Dubnyk didn't even get a chance to pack his suitcase after one move, and then was on the move again.
Yeah. Another move. The Oilers traded goalie Ilya Bryzgalov, who was afraid of bears, to the Minnesota Wild. So not looking good for a 2014 fifth-round pick and a 2015 third-round pick. I think they kind of panicked when it came to the goalie market. They should have went after Yaroslav Halak, but they didn't. The Florida Panthers traded defenseman Mike Weaver to the Canadiens for a 2015 fifth-round draft pick. And the Blackhawks traded forward Brandon Peary to the Florida Panthers for a 2014 third-round pick and a 2016 fifth-round pick. We already touched on the Ryan Miller deal. But back to the main ones. One I'm interested in. the Montreal Canadiens acquired forward Thomas Vanek in a 2014 conditional fifth-round pick for forward Sebastian Kohlberg.
Kohlberg, yeah.
All right, I got it right. In a 2014 conditional second-round pick. That, to me... What?
It's peanuts for Thomas.
Yeah,
Vanek.
that's, to me, Garth Snow, you failed.
Buyer's market. You can basically get a player for whatever price. Because his price tag was too high, and then the market drove it down.
The Islanders, to me, are one of, if not the biggest losers of the day, because they had big pieces they could move and got nothing really in return. You know, Garth Snow's not known to be a great GM, but when you got enough pieces to move like that and you're trying to rebuild your team, that's where you do it, and he didn't.
Yeah, I was shocked when that deal came through the wire, and I'm like...
And he also cited, he said something to the effect of, there was another guy out there, Ryan Kessler, who really delayed my ability to move Vanek, which, no. Vanek's going to be a rental, maybe not in Montreal, but at face value, when you're trying to trade him, he's looked at as a rental because he's going to be a pending unrestricted free agent. Ryan Kessler has 2 years left. So I don't see how you compare that.
To me, the return the Islanders got looks absolutely horrible for what they gave up to get Thomas Vanek.
At this point, you have to feel really bad for Tavares.
I feel... And Okposo. Don't forget Kyle Okposo.
I'm just going with... I'm not discounting the guy, but Tavares is giving his heart and soul, and he's one of the best in the NHL, and they're not supporting him at all.
Didn't he sign a long-term deal with them?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, boy, it looks like a bad decision now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That shows what kind of character he has.
It shows he's loyal.
They have some nice prospects in the system, but they're taking a long time to develop.
This should have been the year... Well, he got hurt. You can't control that. But this should have been the year the Islanders were a legit threat out of the East. They came out slow, and then they pulled the trigger on the Vanek deal, and then everything seemed to implode.
Especially after the way they played last year. Granted, last season they snuck in as an 8th seed, but...
Gave the Pens all they could.
They played arguably one of the best teams assembled in the last decade or so and pushed them to the brink.
Yeah. I'm still shocked at the return the Islanders got.
Love this from Montreal, though. It gives them what they needed, size up front.
Oh, yeah.
This is a great deal for Montreal.
Even though he's not going to stay.
He may.
No.
Why?
He wants to go to a team that's going to win now. Montreal is not a team that will
Montreal's got a lot of young pieces and a legitimate top 5 goaltender.
They're not ready to win right now. I don't think they are.
Why?
I think he goes to Minnesota.
Why aren't the Canadians ready to win now?
Their bottom 6 isn't really effective.
You could say the same thing about the Penguins.
True, but their defense outside of Markov and Subban.
And who's this? I thought they were going
to... when he's healthy.
I thought they were going to trade Markov. There was a lot of chatter that they were going to deal him, but now they're apparently looking at an extension with him.
Yeah, well, he's too valuable for that team.
They got to lock up PK Subban.
They will. They have to.
What do you guys think of the Minnesota Wild deal with the Buffalo Sabres acquiring forward Matt Molson and forward Cody McCormick for forward Torrey Mitchell, a 2014 second-round pick, and a 2016 second-round draft pick?
The return for Matt Molson's horrible. Buffalo really didn't get a whole lot out of that. Torrey Mitchell's not really a certified NHL goal scorer. Love it for Minnesota, though. Minnesota needed to do something when they missed out on Halak. They went to Brizgalov. We all know how much of a head case he can be, especially in the playoffs. But you get a guy like a Matt Molson who can put the puck in the net. Now he's going to be paired with, presumably when he gets healthy, Mikko Koivu or Zach Parise. Some really good young forwards there. I think he fits in well with Minnesota.
Does he resign with Minnesota?
Maybe. I think he has more of a chance of coming back to Minnesota than Vanek does having to go to Minnesota. But good move all around. The return, they gave up nothing for him. Nice throw in there. McCormick's another good guy. Not worth the money he's getting paid, but still.
Yeah, got to agree. Pretty much touched on everything I was going to get at or, going to add. One team I wanted, you got anything on board for Anaheim?
I do, and I was going to bring that up right now. They dealt away Dustin Penner okay, to the Capitals, got a 4th-round draft pick in return, and immediately flipped that to Dallas for Stepan Robida, who...
Well done.
Thank you. That's the one name I remember pronouncing because I believe it was NHL 04. I used to play with the Stars, and it would always say Robida, and I'm like, oh, I like that name. But to me, and Pat, you and I were texting back and forth on this, I thought, okay, here it comes. Anaheim shedding some salary to load up and go get a major piece. Vanek? Kessler was in the mix. Molson. They didn't do a damn thing.
That's what I was going to say about them is they're on my list of teams that I don't want to say lost or were losers because you look at Anaheim's roster, they're still a damn good team.
They failed at what they were trying to do.
Yeah, they gave away a lot in hope for a big return. Well, maybe not a whole lot, but they gave up enough to look for a big return and did not get one. And when you're a cup contending team like Anaheim is in a very strong conference like the West, if you're going to do something like that, you got to come through.
They also traded away Victor Faust, a goalie who, well, they have so much goaltending depth. It's unbelievable. They did call up Frederick Anderson to back up Jonas Hiller now.
Mm-hmm.
So
is John Gibson in the AHL now, or is he still playing?
I believe he's in the AHL. I believe he was the number 2 in the AHL. They had Anderson and Gibson in the AHL. And I believe they were leading the AHL at this point. I think they were.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, when you have 2 goaltenders like that, it's unreal. Couple more trades I want to mention. We don't have to elaborate on them. The Blue Jackets traded forward Marian Gaborik to the Kings for forward Matt Fratton, a 2nd-round draft pick in either 2014 or 2015, and a 3rd-round draft pick in either 2014 or 2015. The Oilers traded Ales Hemsky, finally, to the Senators for 2 draft picks, a 5th-rounder in 2014 and a 3rd-rounder in 2015, similar to what the Penguins traded for Marcel Gotch. Same exact price, actually. Hemsky's just a bit better than Gotch, but the Penguins didn't need a top 6 guy, in my opinion.
There's rumors about them going after Hemsky, too.
The Penguins?
Yeah.
No, they were in on Hemsky.
That would have been a bad move.
Yeah.
I don't think Hemsky really...
He didn't fit.
They were definitely in on Hemsky. It's just they didn't pull the trigger on it.
Name.
Yeah. 2 others we're not really going to elaborate on because I believe it's really lopsided in a sense. The Panthers acquired goaltender Roberto Luongo and left winger Steve Anthony for center Sean Matthias and is it Jacob?
Jakob.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It's not a K, it's a C though. So Jakob Markstrom, a goalie who didn't really work out in Florida, but
they never gave him a chance.
No, and he didn't have any defense in front of him.
Good.
Yeah. Then the Islanders traded defenseman Andrew McDonald to the Flyers for a 2014 3rd-round pick, a 2015 2nd-round pick, and center Matt Mangini.
Yeah.
So I think those are completely lopsided. The Islanders didn't get a lot of great returns on trading some of their best players. McDonald looked good last night for the Flyers in the blowout of the Capitals. I believe it was a blowout. At one point I saw it was 4-1. Oh, okay, made it close. McDonald looked good in a sense for his first game early on. There was
out Mazzaros too.
They did. Yeah. That's what I was just about to mention. Andre Mazzaros to the Bruins for a 2014 3rd-round pick. It's a good move for the Bruins. But I just think those 2 trades are so lopsided in a sense because the Panthers gave away their future in a sense for an aging goaltender who isn't going to win them a cup on their own. You trade away a goalie that was 24 and a center who was pretty good for them. They're so lost in a sense. They don't know what they're doing, what's up, what's down. But there was one parody account on Twitter that said that they traded Andrei Barkov, Jonathan Huberdeau, Markstrom, and Matthias for Luongo. And people were retweeting it like, "Oh my God, the Panthers are just so stupid." It's like, look at the bio. It says parody.
The parody accounts yesterday were absolutely brutal.
There was rumors on Monday or on Wednesday that the Penguins acquired Kessler, and there was also rumors on Wednesday that the Penguins were all in on Vanek. They were never in on Vanek. They came out very early on. Rob Rossi even tweeted it, I believe, at 11 o'clock and said, don't expect to hear the Penguins in talks with Vanek. They don't want him. They don't like him. Kessler was very, very close. Came down to the deadline. They couldn't pull it off. But, guys, I want to know your winners. Pat, I see you have a list there. Your 3 winners.
My 3 winners are low-key Penguins. They had a very specific need that they filled.
And they addressed it.
Buffalo, because they have a younger goalie now that doesn't have a lot of pressure, so I can give him room to grow. and they're beginning their rebuild very strongly. They're stockpiling prospects and stockpiling picks, and that's a great way to begin a rebuild. And the Capitals. The Capitals got solid goaltending to complement a pretty bad defense, and they added a veteran presence and a winner in Dustin Penner.
I'm going to go with Montreal as my first one. They added what they needed in Thomas Vanek. Didn't give up too much in return. He's going to score them some goals. They have difficulty scoring 5-on-5. So he's going to give them the goal scoring that they need going into the playoffs. I'm going to do the Penguins as well. Adding what they needed to do didn't blow up their farm system, which they've been doing in the past couple of years. To get a superstar, they went low-key, which is what they needed to do. And I'm going to agree with him again. Washington, although you could slide Minnesota in there as well. But Washington added what they needed, got a guy that knows how to play a two-way game. We'll see how that works out for Washington.
My first winner, the LA Kings. They can't score goals, and they added Marian Gaborik. Granted, he can't stay healthy, but if he is to stay healthy the rest of the year and click on that top line, he's going to light it up.
Well, if we assume he stays healthy, this is a very similar move to what they did when they won the Cup in 2012, getting Jeff Carter.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this move. I like Marian Gaborik a lot. Former 40-goal scorer. I believe he's had over 30 multiple years. They can't score. It's that simple. And they added a guy that can score. They also picked up Braden McNabb from the Sabres. He's going to be a defensive depth guy. They didn't give up really anything. Matt Fratton going back to the Blue Jackets for Gaborik was okay. They gave up picks and a few prospects. But another winner, I really, really like what the Capitals did. Neuwirth didn't want to be there. Klesla was just a throw-in because he came from the Coyotes for Martin Erat, and they got out from under that Erat contract. 1 goal this year, and he made the Olympics. I don't understand. Guys like Yuri Hudler was left home. What?
Look at the Czech Republic, though. They don't.
Well, they left a guy like Yuri Hudler home.
That's true, but the name Martin Erat carries a certain amount of weight with the Czechs.
Not me. But I love the Capitals picking up Halak and Dustin Penner. Granted, they didn't look very good Wednesday night against the Flyers, but it's the first game, and I don't believe Halak wasn't playing because it was Braden Holtby getting lit up again. And Penner was there. I think Penner didn't dress, though.
I didn't catch that game,
Okay.
so I could not tell you.
So I have the Kings and the Capitals. My final winner, the Minnesota Wild. I love the acquisition of Matt Molson. He's a good player. Cody McCormick's going to be a nice bottom 6 guy for them. Torrey Mitchell wasn't great for the Wild. Giving him up was easy. The picks were difficult to deal away, but they dealt away 4 picks in this trade deadline. If they can get the good Ilya Bryzgalov, I think they'll be okay. Obviously, Backstrom and Harding are dealing with issues. Backstrom's injured. Harding's dealing with, I believe, is it multiple sclerosis?
Yeah.
So that's a difficult story, but when he's healthy, he's a very good goalie. Is it Darcy Kemper? That's their goalie right now, who's playing well. He's a rookie, though, and they can't rely on him down the stretch. So getting a guy like Bryzgalov was a smart move. But those are the winners on deadline day. Obviously, I think we are all in agreement that the Blues' acquisition of Miller and Steve Ott tops anything.
Yeah.
Pat, are you in agreement with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Losers at the deadline, Pat.
Got the Islanders. They moved big pieces for little to nothing. Got the Rangers because short term they're a little bit better.
In a
But
sense.
getting rid of Cali, long term that hurts them. And they gave up draft picks, so long term that's going to hurt them. And my surprise loser is Vancouver.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying that because I wanted Ryan Kessler, which I did, but
They had to move him.
But here's the thing. They had and still have a few assets they could have traded. They're getting older and getting slower, and they're prolonging a rebuild that they're going to eventually have to be at. You still got the Sedins, but they're getting older, they're getting slower. They're going to have to rebuild eventually, and it would have been in their better interest to get out in front of it, I think.
Yeah, well, first one I have is New York, obviously, the Rangers. It's a personal one for me, dealing away the captain of the team.
Keep it together, big guy. Come on, don't
And,
don't lose it on me.
It's a damn shame that they couldn't come to an agreement. They were
$200,000 off per year, which is 6 years. That's 800.
A lot of money.
It's a lot, but I believe it's 1.2 million. I'm not a math major. Whatever.
but
That's tough. You're that close per year. $200K.
when I heard that the Rangers,
That no trade clause was
they
huge.
didn't want to give him one, and I agree with that. And $6 million is still too much to pay Ryan Callahan, but you have to do what you have to do, and bring in a guy that's 38 years old is only going to play another 3 years in the league doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know what the Rangers' direction is now. I mean, I don't know what they want to do. But
Here's, to me, I know you haven't finished your list yet, but my best case scenario for them is that St. Louis clicks with Richards and forms a deadly line to counter, I believe it's Stepan, Nash, and I'm not sure with the lines.
Stepan, Nash, Kreider.
Yeah, if they can give a solid 1-2 punch to back up those guys, they could be a deadly force in the playoffs.
Well, Richards and St. Louis were clicking last night.
They did look good Wednesday night.
Really good.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but there's familiarity with St. Louis and Richards.
Oh, yeah, Stanley Cup run.
Yep.
So
It'd be very interesting if they still had John Tortorella as their head coach.
they liked playing for Torts when he was in Tampa Bay.
I don't know how you can like playing for Torts.
But,
The guy
What
gets
a
results.
jerk.
it's just, and my other loser is Tampa Bay. I mean, you're going to lose Ryan Callahan. I don't think he comes back to Tampa Bay. I just don't see the fit in Tampa Bay, really. I mean, I don't think he's the type of player that can play with Steven Stamkos, although he should be on the line with him tonight, from what I've been hearing.
He will be.
It's
That'll be
hard-
must-watch TV.
Yeah, it's hard to fathom what that fan base is going through, losing Vinny Lecavalier and Martin St. Louis in less than 9 months.
And it's similar to the Flames losing Jerome McGinley. I mean, I don't think there's going to be hate from Tampa Bay and losing
I don't know,
St.
the
Louis.
way he left. I mean, I think there's more to the story than just I was left off Team Canada.
I'm going to cross sports here, okay? Lakers fans still love Shaquille O'Neal even though he publicly wanted a trade, okay? St. Louis won a cup, brought them success. They're a successful franchise now. They have Steven Stamkos, okay? When it's all said and done and St. Louis' career is over, he's still going to be adored in Tampa.
Yeah.
He's going to... I'm sure when the Rangers visit Tampa Bay, I don't know if they do in the regular season. They
don't.
could in the
Thank God
playoffs.
they don't.
They could in the playoffs. I'm sure he'll hear a few boos, but the real Lightning fans will be on their feet cheering him on because he is, to me, the face of that franchise and always will be until Stamkos retires.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay has to be just as tough with New York dealing away their captain. And the other one, I agree with you, is Vancouver. You had to trade Ryan Kessler. And they're just going to let this one stew until the draft where he has to be traded. He has to be.
Very, very similar to what happened last year. I think last year with Luongo.
Yeah.
A completely
Yeah,
botched.
I on that one.
A completely botched, and it's going to be a total PR nightmare. Maybe not as bad as Luongo, because Luongo is a little bit of a head case, and I don't think Kessler's that kind of guy. But just they completely dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, my losers. Right now, I have the Coyotes up there. Anytime you bring in a guy like Martin Erat, who you wanted goal scoring, and you go out and get a guy that has 1 goal this year, congrats. You're really upgrading. They also traded away some young defensemen. They made a move for a second-round pick to the Blackhawks. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce those names.
David Rundblad.
And Matthew Brisebois or whatever.
Brisebois.
See, that's why I didn't attempt it. Well, I did attempt it, but anyway. And then with the Capitals, you deal for Martin Erat and John Mitchell for forward Chris Brown, Rostislav Klesla.
Chris Brown.
Not that
He's
Chris
playing
Brown.
hockey now?
Not that Chris
How's
Brown.
Rihanna feel about that?
Oh, jeez. What if he's a scrapper? And then a 2015 4th-round pick. So I think they're a loser. I think the Rangers lost in that deal. You traded away so many picks. 2 high-end picks and Callahan for a guy who probably won't play in the league for another 2 years. And my other loser is really up in the air. I think the Bruins didn't do enough. I know they brought in Andre Mazzaros, but I don't think that was the guy they should have targeted in a sense. The Ducks are losers because they seem to be gearing up for a huge deal and didn't pull the trigger on anything. I'm sure they could have gotten Vanek for chump change. They just hesitated. And the Islanders. That Islanders franchise is probably set back another few years because who knows if those draft picks are going to hit.
To quote the TSN Trade Center panel yesterday, the Islanders are a tire fire.
At least they didn't say dumpster fire. I heard that so many times yesterday about the Penguins' bottom six, and I'm looking like, where did they get that? You mentioned that. Where'd you get that?
Same place you did.
All right.
Everybody's saying it.
All right.
Still waiting on Ryan Strome to develop for the Islanders. Still waiting for
He came up. He had a cup of coffee early in the
No,
year.
I'm not saying they don't.
Griffin Reinhardt's going to be a good player when he gets to the NHL.
I think what Pat's getting at is that they had so much promise coming into this year because of what they did in the playoffs last year, and now you look at it, there's nothing to show because your best player is out for the year. You have a ridiculous setup at goalie. Defense is a question mark. You trade away Andy McDonald for nothing really in return.
But maybe this big step back will lead to a bigger step forward next year.
They kind of remind me of the late 90s, early 2000s Penguins, where it seemed to be, okay, well, this could be the year that everything clicks. Trade deadline. Let's ship them all out and restart. It's tough, and who knows, maybe some of these young players could hit like the Penguins had. Obviously, they're not going to get lucky and have a first, a second, a first, and a third or a second overall pick in 4 years. So it's tough. But moving forward really quickly before we wrap up the segment, favorites, I'm putting this on you guys right now. Favorites for the Stanley Cup.
St. Louis. Do you want me to name the East too, or?
Well, the matchup, the Stanley Cup matchup. I'm sorry.
St. Louis, Boston.
Who do you got?
St. Louis.
How many games?
5. St. Louis.
Who wins the Conn Smythe?
The Conn Smythe. Ryan Miller.
Okay.
Confident. I like it. I'm going to stick with Goose here, but I'm going to change my East. Definitely got St. Louis coming out of the West. They're a dark horse.
Give me Pittsburgh.
Yep.
All right.
And just simply because I think they set themselves up to counter Boston better than they did last year. And the other thing is they're the class of a weak conference. You know, I don't think their first 2 rounds are going to be much of a challenge. And I don't think
said that last year with New York Islanders. All depends what Fleury does.
Absolutely.
I'm not a believer in Marc-Andre Fleury when it comes to crunch time. No one should.
This is the last.
Until he proves you wrong.
This is the last year I give him. Honestly.
Well, isn't he up at the end of the year, or is that 2 years from now?
3.
Oh boy.
But this is the last year. This is the last year he gets the defense of. He's done it before. He won a Stanley Cup.
If they don't win a Stanley Cup this year, I would fire Dan Bylsma.
No.
Yeah. You have to with the talent that they have. You're not winning consistently.
Well, he can't control the goaltending. I mean,
still, so you have to blame somebody. You're not going to trade Marc-Andre Fleury because who are you going to bring in?
Tristan Jarry. I'm kidding.
Not ready, but
maybe get another year out of Akun.
No.
I don't know.
They have to win. This is the year they have to win a cup, or else someone has to go.
But
Shiro or Bosma, pick one.
Oh, they're not going to fire Ray Shero, and they're not going to fire Danny Bylsma. They're not. I think what they'll do is they'll try and cut Fleury, and there's going to be goaltenders out there that are free agents. Halak, they could make a run at Ryan Miller if he doesn't stay in St. Louis.
But
I'm saying.
Money for Ryan Miller.
I'm just
Still
saying.
St. Louis.
But yeah, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and
Who you got?
Pittsburgh in 6. I don't know.
That's fine. Conn Smythe.
Sid.
Oh, easy. All right. Very easy off the top. Well, you're rocking the Sidney Crosby jersey today. I respect it. You did have a case of the dives out there earlier.
I just hope Goose appreciated it. We only got a little bit of a chuckle out of him, but
we had people actually think you fell and hurt yourself.
yeah, a couple staffers thought I actually fell.
You learn from the best.
Well.
I'll take the Stanley Cup ring, two gold medals, and scoring titles.
Out west, I have Anaheim still. They scare the crap out of me. I know St. Louis is a lot better. I think that'll be the Western Conference Finals, St. Louis, Anaheim. And that's going to be must-see TV. In the East, I think it's a matchup in the conference finals. Pittsburgh, Boston. But in terms of forward depth, right now, I'm going to take Boston in that game.
They better.
In that series. But it's going to go 7 games. It's not going to be 4 games where the Penguins score 1 goal and hit 75,000 posts. I think it'll be entertaining, and I would take Boston. Oh, no. I'm going to take Anaheim over Boston. 6 games. Conn Smythe, Corey Perry.
Interesting.
We'll revisit this later.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll
Got
touch on
plenty of
hockey probably every week for the rest of the semester. But it was a fun trade deadline. Pat Damp, thank you for updating our Twitter feed
I enjoyed it.
religiously. Trade Centre.
Got to do the right hashtag, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
I was sitting in my office watching it.
I
so.
believe we gained 6 followers during trade deadline because of that. I know I gained 2 on my own personal one. I was like, oh, okay, I'll take it.
I lost personal followers on
It happens.
deadline day.
I think after my argument with Dimitri George and Kyle Condor and about 75 other people randomly on Twitter, I lost a few followers because I went over like 120 tweets in an hour.
Uncredible people on Twitter.
You're right. Yeah, well, okay. Anyway, for Pat Damp and Mike Gosnell, I'm your host, Josh Carney. When we come back, Dimitri George is he's shaking over there. NFL free agency just around the corner. I'm sure we'll touch on Steelers and wherever else. The Packers, because we got a Packers fan in the booth.
Why?
I don't know.
Why not?
Those damn Packers. Anyway, I don't even have a sign up for this. This is terrible. All right, see ya after the break.
What's going on, everybody? It's Kyle Condor. Just letting you know the Out of Bounds podcast is brought to you by the Penn, IUP Student Voice, with music provided by Beats by the Passion, Hot Clock. Don't forget to holler at your boys on Twitter at TheOOBP, and you can also check out our podcasts at thepenn.org or on iTunes.
And welcome back into the Out of Bounds podcast. I'm your host, Josh Carney, joined alongside with Kyle Condor and NFL expert in a sense, Dimitri
Steelers.
George. Dimitri George. Kyle, you were told to watch football on Twitter the other day, so apparently you need to get up on your football game.
Yeah, well,
But guys, we're
Shout
going to
out.
start
no,
Or not.
irrelevant.
yeah. We are going to start our new segment. Pay or nah? Pay or nah?
Yeah, pay.
Emphasis on the or no, Josh.
Yeah, seriously. Don't you hate when people say or nah?
Or
Like,
nah?
it's not or nah.
Or nah?
Or no. Emphasis on the or no.
It's whatever. Okay, pay or nah. All right, does that work?
Yes, sir. It does.
First off, I'm looking at quarterbacks here really quickly. Adrian Peterson came out and said this man would make the team in a playoff team intently. I'm talking about Michael Vick. Pay or nah?
If you're the Vikings, I'm gonna say nah. You put like 9 in the box on that team. Like they already had. There was 8 in the box every down.
Yeah.
With the quarterbacks Adrian Peterson's had over the last couple of years, that'd be pretty cool. It'd be cool to see. I mean, Michael Vick and AP, that'd be awesome for like the media and just TV in general. But you put like 9 in the box on that team because Vick can barely throw anymore, and obviously
He's still got a gun.
he does. He's better than Ponder and Castle and
He's better than Joe Webb in a
that
playoff
gang.
game.
Yeah,
in a
no,
game-
he's
in a-
better than them, and they might be a playoff team, but they are in the best
When you-
division in the NFL. Well, you know what I'm so.
Easy.
Wow.
Easy, Homer.
It's not the AFC North, but I'm trying to think. It's the NFC West by far. And so what do you say? I mean, pay? What
or
are
nah.
we numbers?
Emphasis on the nah.
Or not. I know, but I'm saying, what is the number? Give me a number from Mike Vick in
1
Minnesota.
year, $8 million.
No.
Has to be 1 year. Has to be 1 year.
Nah.
Has to be
1 year, $8 million, and they draft a backup quarterback in the
Incentives.
second or third round.
1 year, $5 million with the incentives out the waz.
I guarantee you, if Mike Vick were to sign with the Vikings, it would be a 2-year deal.
It can't be.
I guarantee
Can't
it.
trust it.
Okay, 2 years, $10 million.
I wouldn't even
There
do.
needs to be so many incentives in that deal.
I wouldn't even do 2-year 8. I would do like 2 year 6. $3 million a year.
Ugh. He's worth more than that.
So, nah.
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 Nah for me. Josh Freeman
What the?
at 2 years, $7.5 million.
What?
Pay or nah?
As a backup? Is that what we're asking?
Yeah.
Or like as a backup?
With a chance to start.
I mean, shoot. I keep bringing up the Packers every friggin' time we talk NFL, so I might as well do it again. I mean, look what happened when Aaron Rodgers went out. I would have wished we'd had at least Josh Freeman.
Oh, you didn't like Scott Tolzien
No.
or Matt Flynn?
No.
Or Seneca?
Or Senator
No.
Wallace?
Oh, that was the worst one.
Oh.
So, yeah, sure, why not? 2 years, 7.5.
Let's just give some clarity where you give the contract numbers, per se, and we won't name a team, but we'll assume it's the right situation for that player. So Josh Freeman, let's just say Oakland, for example.
2 years, 7.5 to Oakland to start.
Whoa.
Yes.
Over Pryor?
Oh, Pryor's. I love Terrell Pryor as an athlete. He's not a starting
I
quarterback.
mean,
in
this
the
man
NFL.
got dunked on by him, and I mean that's coming from the guy that got dunked
Yet
on.
again.
Carney, it's all.
You're out of the
always
friend
comes
zone. You are out of the friend
Did I just
zone.
cross the friend zone?
Always comes up.
He got dunked
Always
on by
coming at my
Terrell
neck.
Pryor.
Always coming at my neck.
Oh, he's trying to use the terms.
I'm learning.
He is.
Hey,
Pay.
As a backup, he's not starting over anyone in the NFL right now. There's no way. We already saw what he did to Tampa Bay with a pretty good team.
he can't start on Jacksonville.
Come on, man.
Shoot.
He can't start on
I
Cleveland.
mean, he could, but they'd be awful. Like, go ahead, start him. See what happens. I'll start Weed. Look what he did in Tampa Bay, and they have a bomb squad
Pay.
besides quarterback.
Pay or not?
Tell
Do
me
you
the
see his-
Bucks are not a bomb squad besides quarterback.
He had 2 bad years. He had two
they
bad
have a
years.
good squad.
He
They
had 2
got a
bad years.
good-
In 2010, look at his numbers.
Even their offensive line
They
is
got a good foundation. I'll
Like
give you that.
Donald Penn, like Doug Martin, Vincent Jackson on the defensive side. Don't even get me started.
Don't
The Bucks
forget. Don't
the
forget
Bucks
Tim
have a-
Wright.
Whatever. The Bucks have a good squad. Josh Freeman couldn't do anything starting there, so sign him as a backup and nothing more.
Pay or not?
Hey, forget it. Backup.
Dimitri.
Hey,
I'm saying pay. I think he's still got some
We
talent
disagree.
left in him. Yeah, we'll get there. Ben Tate, Cleveland, 4
Oh, I
years,
love this.
$28 million.
pay.
I've been looking at him since last year. I had him on some of my fantasy squads, and I do pickup or keeper leagues. And I was hanging on to him for dear life in both of
Did
my
you
fantasy
handicap
leagues.
him with Arian?
Handicap him.
If you had Arian, you would have Ben Tate in case Arian went down, which he
Yeah,
did.
and he did.
You
And
handicapped
Ben Tate
him?
even gets carries even when
Well, yeah.
Arian's in, so you start him in fantasy leagues.
Pay.
But yeah, no, I mean
4 years, $28 million. Pay
Pay.
or not?
4 years, 28
To
is that what it's
Cleveland.
looking like?
To Cleveland.
Yeah, sure, why not? I
I'm
think
not
it'd be-
saying that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, no,
That's my ideal
shoot,
contract
They've
for
been
him.
saying Cleveland for him since like week 4 of last year. So yeah, I definitely take him in Cleveland, but poor him. If you go to Cleveland, we know how that ends up for most. So
I'm saying nah because 4 years at $7 million per for a guy that we don't know if he can be a bell cow in a sense. Can he
Sure.
have 25 carries a game
had
and
a
stay
lot
healthy?
He had a lot of carries. Last
I mean, his
year when
rookie
Arian-
year, he blew out his
let's
he
compare
tore his
him to,
Achilles
like,
tendon.
What are some other running back deals of late? I feel like they're
Oh,
Chris Johnson's, Ray Rice, LaShawn McCoy's.
he ain't gonna get that type.
yeah. What they
No.
get?
Oh, Chris Johnson at 100 million. Ray Rice.
No, Chris Johnson not have 100 million. Are you on drugs? He had like 37 and a half,
And how many years?
like 5, and he's about to
Are
get
you
cut.
sure?
Chris Johnson not get $100 million. Adrian Peterson got $100 million, I think.
I feel like Chris Johnson got around 90.
Whatever. Yeah, I'd take my chances on Ben Tate. Why not? I think he's pretty good.
Holy
He was
hell!
arguing that he was better than Arian Foster. He just never got his chance, is what he was saying. He didn't really prove that when he did get the chance when Arian was hurt, but
I was a little off, but he got 6-year 55.
that's a lot more than 4 years, 28.
6-year 55.26 million.
Okay.
I don't know. I thought it would have been cool if the Jets went after Ben Tate. I thought
They
that
could
would've
use a
been
running
pretty
back.
cool.
They could. I'm not saying I don't like his landing in Cleveland because they still don't even have a quarterback.
Ryan Hoare?
Eugene Baker was nice at the end of the year for them, but he's not the future. I'm
Come
saying.
on. He
I'm-
backed up Le'Veon at Michigan State.
I know, but
I'm just
Eugene
saying.
Baker he started over Le'Veon his freshman year.
They made the wrong decision with that one.
Well, apparently, because Le'Veon Bell is a freak.
He's
LaShawn-
better than 80 late. Ugh.
He don't got nothing to show for it,
Hey,
though, does he?
LaShawn McCoy signed a 6-year, $45.615 million contract.
And he's better than Chris Johnson.
Ops.
Another guy. So you guys are saying pay. I'm
Pay.
saying nah. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Darren McFadden, 2 years, $12 million. Pay or nah?
Pay.
Darren McFadden, 2 years, how many million?
12. $6 million a year.
He's only 26, and if that guy could
Who's paying him here?
Okay, so the Jets.
10.
Let's
So the Jets.
here's a number of teams: the Jets, the Browns,
He's the guy every year that
The-
I'm like, he's
the
Like-
Titans if they let Chris Johnson go,
too.
Arizona, Denver if they lose no Sean,
They got money.
but you need a backup.
No, yeah, I mean, I think
Yes.
he needs a good quarterback.
2 years, $12 million.
Yeah, I think he needs a good quarterback
he
to
could-
take some pressure off.
That's a good point, Kyle, because if he goes to a situation where he doesn't have to be the focal point of the offense, he can be a role,
That 8
a
man in the
compliment.
box.
If he could
Impossible
stay
to do
healthy, he's the total package. He's fast. He's got power. He can make you miss. He's a total package. I feel
He's
bad
the
for
guy
him.
that people look at every year and they're like, he's on the top of the fantasy boards. I'll bring up fantasy once again. He's just, everybody looks at him in the beginning of every year thinking he was the guy he was in college, and rightfully so. The dude's a freak, but everyone always forgets to look at who's taking
That
the
team
snaps.
that team also had Peyton Hillis and Felix Jones in the same backfield.
Yeah.
Woo!
The Raiders?
No,
Oh,
the
Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
Razorbacks.
Yeah, no, I mean, everyone always forgets who's taking the snaps in front of him. You got to look at that. If he has a good quarterback in front, there's not as much pressure on him. So
Pay or not,
pay him if you're a team with a good quarterback in front of him.
Dimitri?
Pay.
I'm saying nah, and it comes back to the injury concern again. He hasn't played a full 16 games. It's always a hamstring with him. Like Lamar Woodley. Another running back to round out the running backs. Maurice Jones-Drew. 4 years, $32 million.
What the? No. He was more of the 2-year, 8 maybe. He is on the downslide.
Yeah.
If he goes to a team like Denver,
Someone's going to pay him based off of name alone.
not 4 years. That's Deuce Staley with the Steelers.
I'm telling you, someone's going to pay him based off of name
If
alone.
someone gives him a 4-year, $32 million contract, I need to be a GM of an NFL team.
And this is why I think he's on the downside of his career. He played in Jacksonville. Can we please keep that in mind?
HughesNet? Kyle's got HughesNet, Dunkin' Donuts Wi-Fi in his
Sorry,
damn
Kyle.
booth.
Pay or nah?
No, not that contract.
How old is this sucker? He's got to be like 32 now.
He's like 31. He came in the league in
He was a third-round pick, I believe.
second. Mercedes
Second,
Lewis
that's right,
was first
that's
and second. They
That's
both came in
28.
Okay, he's 28 years old. Granted, I know that's old for running back in this league.
Yeah, 30. See, and he's already.
Okay, two years, $14 million, $7 million a year.
I'd do it.
Next year will be his 9th. No way.
No?
He's done.
Pay or not? Nah?
Nah.
Nah?
4 years, no. 2 years, maybe.
I'll give him a third, and I say pay him. I think he's still got some tread left on those tires.
If he has somebody to a counterpart.
Here's one that's interesting to me. So you guys are saying nah. I'm saying pay. Here's an interesting guy. Toby Gerhart.
What the?
3 years,
Obviously, he wants to go.
$13 million.
He obviously wants to go somewhere where he can start.
The Jets, the
Yeah.
Browns, the
He's
Jaguars.
not starting somewhere. As much as I'd love to see him start
Toby
somewhere,
Gerhart's
it'd be
going to
fun.
start somewhere. I think he has 19 touchdowns in his career. No, that's. I read something. I believe it was Mark Cabali tweeted out about
Could you not?
Toby Gerhart. I can't recall what he said, but I think Toby Gerhart's intriguing because he can catch the football out of the backfield. He's a power back. You can use him at the goal line. 3 years, $13 million. Pay or nah as a starter.
I don't really like Toby Gerhart that much. I think he needs that.
Wow, shocking.
I think he needs that compliment back.
Is it because he's a white running back?
No, it's because he's on
No.
Minnesota and he's a Packers fan.
I
Oh.
like that.
He has 5 total touchdowns. Well, no, 5 rushing touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns.
19, Josh.
I read something somewhere.
Look, he doesn't play the Steelers twice a year, right?
His career high in yards was his second year in the league when he had 531.
No, I think he's a compliment back.
No, he's excuse me.
Yes.
He's behind Adrian Peterson. He doesn't sniff the field unless Adrian Peterson tells the coach, "I'm coming off the field."
He's out there quite a bit.
Who?
Toby Gerhart, he's their third down back.
He is their
consistently.
third down back, but it's
Consistently.
still Adrian Peterson's running back job.
Toby Gerhardt gets snaps.
He does get snaps. I'm not
He
saying he
gets snaps.
doesn't. I'm just saying he's not going to get starter snaps.
Look, you read his touchdown stats, but here's his game stats. I mean, I don't know. He does a lot. He's a compliment back. He's never going to be anything more. I'd love to see him be something more. He was good in college. White guy, whatever.
Chris Ivory was a compliment guy in New Orleans, and he went to the Jets and
Here we
became
go.
a back.
This is from
And
Chris
the Jets are
Wesseling
garbage.
from NFL.com. Gerhardt averaged 19 touches and 100 scrimmage yards, or 100 yards from scrimmage in 8 games starting over Adrian Peterson due to injuries. 3 years, $13 million.
Yes.
Pay or nah?
Yes.
Nah.
Pay, nah,
Nah.
pay. I love Toby
We need a
Gerhardt.
defensive guy.
Who's running this segment?
You.
All right. Receivers. Eric Decker's the main guy out there in a sense. Everyone thinks he's an elite receiver. I think they're all just
Say it.
not.
Say it.
They're high.
Thank you.
4 years, 36 million. That's 9 a year
Whoa.
for Eric Decker, who put up monster stats with Peyton. Was good when Tebow was at quarterback as a
Not
deep
really.
threat. New York Jets come to mind when you think Eric Decker. The Indianapolis Colts come to mind when you think Eric Decker.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Jaguars come
That's
to
the
mind
main
too. Pay or nah? I'm saying nah. I don't
No.
think Decker's worth $9 million a year.
4 years, 36. That's insane. He's more of like a 4-year. No, he's like 3 years, like 24 or something like that. Like I don't know, something along those lines. Even that's a little much, but I like what Jeff Saturday said on ESPN the other day. He said he's a made by Manning receiver. You said he was good with Tebow. I didn't look into the statistics.
He only had like 50
but
catches, but he was a good touchdown guy.
Yeah, I don't know. He's not going to be
No.
good catching the
I
ball.
don't think he's a number one.
No way.
Okay, so pay or nah?
No.
No.
Nah.
Nah.
He
Okay.
needs a good quarterback. He could go to
Okay.
New England. That'd be cool. I don't know if there's any possibilities. but
They're gonna lose a guy that I'm bringing up right now. Nice segue.
Julian.
Julian Edelman.
Nah.
Will you wait?
Give
Wes Welker got a 2-year, $12 million contract last offseason from the Broncos. I think Edelman can demand a 4 or 5 year deal around 20. What would it be? 24 or 30 million.
What is this?
Julian,
How many?
4 or 5 years, between 24 and 30 million total.
Are we assuming it's going to be from New England?
Yeah. Pay or nah? I don't think they can afford to lose another guy like that at the receiving
Tom
core,
Brady-
especially when they're not happy with Amendola.
Tom Brady makes superstars out of everyone, though.
Julian Edelman has a track record, though. Pay or nah?
No, he doesn't. Julian Edelman had more receptions last year than he did in his entire career combined.
Because
for
he was
that
the number
year.
one option. But as a slot receiver, he was averaging,
He was garbage.
I wouldn't say garbage.
He had injury problems.
15 games played in 2010, 7 receptions. 13 games played in 2011, 4. 9 games played in 2012, 21. Garbage.
He also was like a number 4 option. Look what he did in his first year. He had over 100 catches, correct?
Why was he a number 4 option? Because he was garbage.
No.
He's not going to do that anywhere else.
But I'm saying New England.
I think that's.
No, they let him
I think
walk.
the 5. What did you say? 24-30 is a little much.
What would you
I
give
would
him?
say 420.
$5 million a year? Okay. I would go with that.
I think New England lets him walk. You could put me out there in front of Tom Brady and
Ugh.
Oh, you couldn't,
I'll have
Kyle.
105 catches.
No,
You could not.
Last receiver I want to talk about, Emmanuel Sanders. 2 years, $14 million from New England. Pay or
He's
not?
getting more than that.
It's an ideal contract
Oh.
because I don't think he's that good. What do you think he gets?
Market will.
It's $7 million a
Overpay.
year. $7 million a year. What's he get?
He wants more than 2 years. If the Steelers could do that deal.
Okay, 5 years, 35 from New England.
Whoa.
Nah.
4
He's
years,
got
4 years,
foot injuries.
28.
Like a franchise.
4
tag.
years, 28. What are you giving him? Come on, give me a
420.
number.
4 years,
420.
28. 4 years, 28.
420.
For $5 million a year?
What has
This-
he really even done? Like, what is this?
He's inconsistent. He's got foot issues, which is not good for a receiver. He's had him since his rookie year. And he also sat out again, I think, at the end of the year because he had a foot issue.
Okay.
So-
Okay, 420. Pay or nah?
Pay.
I'm not doing it. Nah.
Pay.
Emmanuel Sanders is
420.
so
I
inconsistent.
think if you can get Emmanuel Sanders though for 420, I think
You bring him back to
He didn't
Pittsburgh
have
on that?
over 100 receiving yards in a single game last year.
I know. He's not a threat. I think he's very overrated in this offense. He had what, like 70 receptions though? How many receptions did he have?
67.
67.
Okay, that most of those were dink and dunk. Granted, you could
11
argue.
yards per catch.
You could argue with me. Well, Antonio Brown had a bunch of dink and dunk catches, but Antonio
That's his
Brown was
game.
also
Yeah, that's his game.
Antonio Brown was also a deep threat too, whereas Emmanuel Sanders was just nothing for the Steelers.
I can remember if Marquise Pouncey would have never got hurt, God willing, if Emmanuel Sanders doesn't drop that the first pass of the year.
Yep.
I want to know, why are all the Steelers receivers like these clean cut, like, black dudes? I don't get it.
What are you trying to say?
I mean, look, they all have that look. It's like, dude, like,
Well, when Mike
do you
Wallace
guys
was
all
around,
go to the same barber? It's,
Probably.
like, corny.
Mike
Oh,
Wallace, Emmanuel Sanders, Antonio Brown, and even Hines Ward in his last year. That was the Young Money crew.
Real quick, another guy. So you're saying pay? Is he come back to Pittsburgh on that contract? 4 years, $20 million.
He's not coming back to Pittsburgh.
He's not coming back
But
to Pittsburgh.
if he would take that deal to stay in Pittsburgh, I think they would do it.
Okay, pay or
I
not?
don't think he's any good.
I'm not paying him more than 2
Can we
years.
segue this into James Jones, who Dimitri says Emmanuel Sanders is
Kyle,
gonna
who's
get more
running
than?
this segment?
I'm asking because before the show you said Emmanuel Sanders is going to get more than James Jones. Why on earth?
Hey.
I'm not saying James Jones is better. I'm not saying Emmanuel Sanders is better than James Jones. What I'm saying is, like you said about what that player you're talking about, someone's gonna overpay for Maurice Jones-Drew because of his name. Yeah, listen, Packers fans, NFC North fans, they know who James Jones is. He led the league in receiving touchdowns
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
We have like
Emmanuel
2
Sanders-
last year.
It's kind of good. He had 3, but he had 817.
Let me say this then. James Jones, 3 years,
Right in Baltimore.
26 million.
Whoa!
Right in Baltimore.
He doesn't come back to Green Bay for that money.
I'm
He's
not
going to
saying I'm
Baltimore.
not saying he's coming back to Green Bay.
He's sick. Is that really what they're saying?
I don't know.
I'm not saying he's coming
Whoa,
back
it's
to
gonna
Green
say
Bay.
Jam Jones on the back of his jersey because they already have Jacoby.
I think he's no. Is he a free agent? I think he's a free agent.
Jacoby Jones is a free agent.
Oh, well, what if they got both of them? It would say Jam Jones. I would get that jersey.
And Jack Jones.
I would get both of their jerseys.
Okay, 3 years, 26.
He's not coming back to Green Bay for that.
I'm not saying I'm
Just say pay or
hypothetically.
not.
I'm hypothetically saying that he's not. Any of these guys are going back to the teams they were on.
That dude's pretty good, but 3 years, 26 is too much, and he deserves more.
What
than
would you give
Emmanuel
him?
Sanders.
318.
Yeah, that's
Six.
exactly what I was gonna say.
Okay,
So if you say 326, no.
I agree because I think Aaron Rodgers helped him out a lot. I think if he went to a
He's
team,
made some pretty incredible catches.
I understand that, but again, he also has the best quarterback in football, in my opinion, throwing him the football.
Yeah, I know, but if you look at like his,
I mean, we
highlight
can
reel-
say I know, but we can say the same thing about Eric Decker. His numbers are inflated because he has Peyton Manning.
I know. I'm saying that if you look at some of the grabs he's made over,
I agree.
The way he helped Aaron Rodgers get famous for that over the shoulder or
I
the back shoulder.
I agree.
I still don't think Julius Thomas would be the Julius Thomas we all know now because if it wasn't for Peyton
I think
Manning.
he'd still be good, but I wouldn't think he'd be Julius
We've talked
Thomas.
about this before.
All right, I'm not going to go over offensive linemen. I just don't.
Let's just get into the big games and just give our predictions of where they're gonna land.
Jared Allen, 2 years, $14 million.
How old is that bum?
30.
He's in his 30s.
I think he's only 30. Honestly, I was actually surprised me. I thought he was older than that. I think he's like 30 or 31. 31, right? Yeah.
Jared Allen.
He'll be 32 when when the season starts.
Jared Allen, 2 years, $14 million, Seattle.
Whoa, that'd be fun. Do
Yeah.
they let like Chris Clemens walk and
No, Michael Bennett.
Michael Bennett.
Michael Bennett?
2 years, $14 million.
Yes.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Pay.
That'd be really cool if we went to
Pay.
Seattle.
Pay.
I'd
Pay.
pay him, yeah.
Pay him
That's
too.
tough- That's tough for me to say.
Michael
Mhm.
Bennett, 4 years, $36 million, Chicago. Pay or nah? Pay.
Chicago?
Chicago.
He wants to play with his
Pay.
brother.
Pay. Martellus and Michael are brothers.
Didn't even see that one. Wow, it's crazy. Never know. But 4 years, 36.
$9 million a year.
DNs are getting that kind of money nowadays.
Oh my
Oh,
God!
man,
Wait till
yeah.
you see Greg Hardy's extension when he gets it. With
Greg
the
Hardy
Panthers.
just re-signed a 1 year, $13.116
Charles
million
Johnson
deal.
got like a 6-year, 60-something million with them a couple years ago.
Wow.
Pass rushing is key.
4 years? That's too long term. I think he gets less years, but yeah. I'd
Oh,
pay
he's
if he
going.
did. I'd give him like 2 years, like 20.
If he wanted short term, he would stay in Seattle.
Yeah.
He wants to get paid, and he wants some what's the word? Security.
Michael Bennett, 4 years, 36. Pay or nah?
That's too much. Too many years.
Pay.
Okay, 327.
less
Yo,
money.
he's gonna get
like
like a.
324.
I'm sorry, but he's gonna get like a 5 or 6 year deal.
Oh yeah. I agree with you. But my ideal deal would be 4 years, 36 from
Pay.
Chicago.
Pay.
Pay. Kyle, you're saying no. I'm saying pay. Last defensive end I want to look at.
Michael Johnson.
No. Oh man, I'm gonna say Arthur Jones from Baltimore. I think he could play in Pittsburgh.
He's gonna
2 years, $10 million. Pay or no? Arthur Jones is the brother of Chandler Jones and John Bones Jones. He's a defensive end for the.
Kyle, do it.
2 years, $10 million. Pay or no for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I'll curveball you. Going to play for Chuck Pagano again in
Indy. 2 years, $5 million. Pay.
2 years, $5 million. You just said 2 years, 10.
$5 million per. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'll do it.
Pay.
Even though I hate him.
Kyle.
Is that a strong word? I don't like
He was
him.
in Baltimore before, so they play a 3-4, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's why he only has 8.5 sacks in his career.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a 3-4 D end. He's to me.
So
he's
how does he play for Pagano? Don't they do
No.
no,
3-4.
no. Yeah, Pagano was the D coordinator for Baltimore when they ran a 3-4, and then he went to Indy and instilled a 3-4.
Okay, I was gonna say
Because
They used to run a
they
4-3.
drafted Bjorn Werner.
That's why Dwight Freeney stood up.
Yeah, they
when
drafted
Pagano
Bjorn
came
Werner,
over.
who played 4-3 at Florida State, and dropped him into linebacker. So 2
Okay.
years, $10 million for Arthur Jones in Indy or Pittsburgh.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Sure. Send him to Pittsburgh. That'd be cool.
I'm saying
He's like
pay.
a Steeler. He's like, dark.
Oh man!
I'm going skin tone here today.
Seriously, what is this, black and white today?
Here we go. The only defensive tackle I want to talk about, B.J. Raji. 4 years, $40 million.
No, the Packers
No.
just
Yeah, they're talking about 1 year deal for
1
that.
year, $8
for
million. They got him. I
I'm
think.
being hypothetical. I'm not talking
No,
about right now.
no.
I think they got B.J. Raji for 1 year, $8 million.
Nah.
They're close to it at least.
No.
4 years, $32 million.
No. He's more like a 3 year,
The
15.
Packers are giving him 1 year, $8 million. Right. Last season. That's what he turned down last year, but it's something similar to that this year. Another 1 year deal, and he's just trying to prove himself.
Because they
I
moved him
don't-
to end.
Could someone? I'm saying, but someone can pay him outside of Green Bay. 4 years, $40 million. Outside of Green
No.
Bay.
No way.
No.
Nah. I don't pay him.
A nose tackle.
He's just another big body. Like you can get that. You can find that. You don't need to pay him 10 a year.
There's really no outside linebackers now that Arakpo and Worlds are off the market that I really want to look at. Nothing. Calvin Pace was a good pass rusher, but he's fallen off big time. Inside linebackers with Butler off the board and DeQuell Jackson off the
Carlos
board.
Dansby.
Carlos Dansby. Brandon Spikes is a guy I want to look at. Brandon Spikes, 3 years, $15 million to
Brother of Taquio?
no. Brandon Spikes to
Yeah, if you say 3 year, 15, yeah, it doesn't matter.
to
Steelers have an opening.
Chicago. 3 years, 15 to Chicago.
Where do you play?
Middle linebacker.
I mean,
They got Bostic.
Bostic can play outside though. Bostic's fast.
He is. He's from Florida.
So is Brandon Spikes.
that dude hits. You talk about a highlight reel.
Ooh. 3 years, $15 million Chicago. Brandon Spikes.
They just let go at Hester, so what does that do? That opens up some room for something.
I don't think that's. We'll touch on that in the end of this segment, really quickly. 3 years, 15.
Not Chicago, but I'll give him that contract.
Pay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Me too.
John Beeson. 2 years, $12 million back to the Giants.
What happened to him?
He
like
he blew out
superstar.
his knee with
Multiple
Carolina
times.
multiple times, and they traded him to the Giants for a draft pick. And
Giants.
he resurrected his career. He played well for the Giants.
He was like
He
a
struggles in
superstar.
pass coverage.
He does. So 2 down linebacker, 2 years, $6 million.
Poor Beasley.
Or two years, $12 million.
6 year.
Kuechly came along and ruined that guy's career or something.
I would do it because I think
Back to the
if
Giants.
if he could stay healthy, he is a quality inside
He's a
linebacker.
beast. I remember it was like him and Patrick Willis at one point that you'd argue over best middle linebacker. So
Yep.
yeah, pay him. See if he can stay healthy.
I agree. Last middle linebacker that I'm looking at. I'm going to say Jameel McClain, who's getting a lot of attention. Give me a contract. I'm hearing like $7-8 million a year for him. I'm serious. Some guys are overpaying for him.
Who is gonna pay for Jameel McClain at $7 or $8 million a year? That's a joke.
I'm just saying.
I
He's
mean, I
headed
thought
to
it was a
meet
joke
the
that I thought it was a joke that Nanel Ellerby got 535 from.
He's headed to
Dolphins.
meet with the Bills and the
The
Giants.
Giants. How about that?
If they don't get Beeson.
No. Did you see DeQuell Jackson's the other day?
Loved it. Absolutely. 4 years, 22.5 for Indy. That is great. They finally have a legit middle linebacker.
Your boy Pete Prisco hates that deal. They said they overpaid for him.
Pete Prisco is not my boy. Pete Prisco hates a lot of players in the NFL. DeQuell Jackson had 140 tackles last year for the Browns.
He said if it was a couple years ago, he would have liked the deal, but he said his play has fallen off.
All I'm saying is that if Jamil is brother of LaRon,
What
Pay
about
him.
what about Rolando?
pay him. Pay him all.
Okay.
I'll pay him.
Dimitri?
If
Not
you
that
don't.
contract, no.
And he went to Syracuse. See ya. Pay him.
He's from Philly?
Yeah,
And he's from Philly. Pay him.
that young bull. All right. Corners.
Young fool.
Cornerbacks. Obviously, Brent Grimes re-signed with the Dolphins. It's a bit much for me. $8 million a year for Brent Grimes. Not a
Was
big.
it 432?
I'm not a big fan of that deal. Aqib Talib. 4 years, $40 million for
He's been
Aqib
around the
Talib.
block and back. That's another one.
4 years for $10 million a year for Aqib Talib. Back to the Patriots. Pay or nah?
If that guy could stay healthy and get his off the field issues straightened
Yeah,
out,
he's a headache.
I'd pay him.
Belichick doesn't want him around anymore. There's no way.
He'll probably go to Oakland or something.
Yeah.
Oh, the Reggie McKenzie is there.
And Charles Woodson's going back to Oakland too, I believe. So
Wants to.
4 years, $40 million to New England. Pay or nah? I'm paying him if he can stay healthy. There's always that factor. Can he stay healthy?
Incentive based contract pay.
New England's not going to pay him, but if you're somebody else, sure, why not pay him? He's a headache though.
Sam Shields. 3 years,
The bull.
$23 million.
Pay.
Pay.
He's good.
Pay. Oh, there's so many corners. A guy I want to touch on, and my little brother texted me about this today. Champ Bailey got cut on Thursday by the Broncos. Yeah. My little brother loves Champ Bailey and said he could be a piece for the Steelers. And I said on a 1 year deal. So 1 year, $4 million to Pittsburgh.
No.
Pay or nah?
No.
To Pittsburgh?
To
No.
Pittsburgh. It's just hypothetical. That I don't know what teams he would fit on because he's over the hill. He's 35 now.
Yeah.
Missed
Although
most of the year.
that Clinton Portis for Champ Bailey is probably one of the best player for player deals.
This is the most
in the
even
NFL.
deal I've ever seen. One of
Both
the
teams won.
most even deal I've ever seen. Clinton Portis was my favorite running back outside of Sean Alexander. I mean, Clinton Portis went to the U.
Sean Alexander, you had that jersey on during the Super Bowl.
My man.
Sir.
My man. Should have
Yes,
taken a
sir.
picture of it.
We're at Champ Bailey. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, you sign him if you're a team who like needs some leadership.
1 year,
Maybe-
$4 million.
Maybe. I would like to see him end up in Arizona. That'd be cool.
With Matthew
youngsters.
and Peterson.
Peterson, some youngsters.
Ooh, I like that.
Tell him who's boss.
1 year, $4 million to anywhere. Pay or nah?
Not anywhere, but yeah, you pay a legend like that $4 million.
Dimitri, you said nah.
It's like
Right.
pocket
Yeah.
change. Now.
I think if the Steelers draft a young corner in the first round, and Champ Bailey's still out there, I'd give him a look. I mean, he can come in and teach these guys some things. I just don't think he's a fit. Last corner I want to talk about, Altron Werner. 5 years, $30 million.
Pay, but you have to get him the right scheme. He's not a man-to-man. He's more zone.
Where would his best landing spot be? Atlanta?
The Steelers.
Okay.
Steelers.
Okay.
Who we talking here?
Alteron Werner, cornerback, Titans.
Oh yeah. He made a nice little name for himself over there, didn't he?
He did.
So why do the Steelers need a corner all of a sudden?
All of a sudden, are you
Oh
joking?
yeah, you guys were talking about that. the
They're
whole time.
horrendous in the secondary.
The Steelers are awful, dude. Yes, if he's like 10, yeah, sign him because they're rebuilding.
Really quickly, I just want landing spots for these three. Jarius Byrd, TJ Ward, and Dante, don't call me Hittner, Whitner. Jarius Byrd, Philadelphia. TJ Ward, Pittsburgh. Dante Whitner, Cleveland.
That's what you say?
Yep.
I say
I'm being
yes.
very off the charts with TJ Ward. I mentioned on the last podcast, I love TJ Ward. I want him in Pittsburgh.
Jarius Byrd, Philly. Dante Whitner. I'll say I'll say Oakland.
Yeah, Oakland's going to get one of them. But, like, you guys kind of just named all the teams who are going to get one of them. Like, Philly's obviously getting one of them. I guess I'll say Bird like you guys. Cleveland's obviously getting one of them. I'd say T.J. Ward just goes back home. It's a business. Like, he's all set up. And then Whitner, I don't know, he's a headache too. So he probably goes somewhere like Oakland, who takes all the headaches.
Okay, well, Dimitri, when does NFL free agency start?
Teams can start negotiating with players on Saturday.
When does it actually kick off, though?
Tuesday,
Okay.
4 p.m. I think.
Stay tuned for that. I'm sure we will do a
Some
wrap
kinda-
up,
some
something
kind of-
next
something.
week. Guys, really quickly before we end the show, I want to talk NCAA tournament bubble teams. There's 2 teams I want to talk about really quickly. Memphis is a bubble team, and Oklahoma State is a bubble team. Memphis has some good wins towards the end of the year, and they have a bad loss against Houston. Oklahoma State, we know they went through that 7-game losing streak. They've beaten Kansas and Kansas State on their 4-game winning streak. Do those 2 teams get in?
Oklahoma State and who now?
Memphis. Memphis is currently losing to Cincinnati by 6.
That's a. Well,
This is on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's Thursday
so
night.
Memphis is 20th.
But they're a bubble team. Because
Really?
the American isn't going to send, or I'm sorry. No, it is the American.
Yeah.
The American isn't going to send a ton of teams. The only locks out of the American are
Villanova.
Cincinnati, Connecticut, and Louisville.
Creighton?
That's not the American.
Didn't they go to the American?
What I am seeing,
Pretty sure Creighton went to that conference.
I agree, and unless
Unless it was the Big
Bleacher
East,
Report
which I
is
get confused all the
completely-
time.
it might actually
Yeah.
still be the big. Yeah, it's still the Big East. Creighton and Villanova, because next year it becomes the. They go to the AAC.
ESPN has Memphis as a lock. Yeah, I think Oklahoma State definitely gets in, and they're scary if they do. I have them going pretty deep, to be honest with you,
I have them going deep in the Big
Depending-
12 tournament.
depending who they play.
Marcus Smart seems like a different player.
He's a beast, man.
I feel like
His
he's
defense is unreal.
I feel like he's trying to get everyone involved. Obviously, we know he can score, but I think his ability to distribute and facilitate,
His defense.
and it's always down to guard play when it comes to the NCAA
Dude, he
tournament.
reminds me of a Tony Allen with offense.
I feel like Marcus Smart can go off like Kemba Walker did. He can catch fire in the Big 12 tourney and just go on a run in the,
I like
the
that.
NCAA.
Kemba Walker was more of an offensive guy, though. Like, he was like a
But Marcus Smart can score.
Marcus
Don't
Smart
get it
can
twisted.
score.
10.
At
Don't
will.
get it twisted.
But
The
he's
man
not
can
like a-
score. The homie can score.
But, like, he's not like a highlight reel. Like, I don't know. You look at somebody like...
What are you talking about? The Kemba Walker crossover?
You
The
look
Pitt
at
dude? Who
somebody
the hell
like
was
the
that guy?
dude,
Gary McGee.
What's
Oh.
the dude? Devin Marble?
Roy
from-
Devin Marble.
From
Iowa.
That's the Kemba Walker type player right there.
Okay, that's fair.
Or
That's
the
fair.
dude from VCU, if they get in. Who's the dude from VCU?
Reddick.
Yeah. That's
Javante
another,
Reddick.
That's another one.
So Oklahoma State in. Memphis in.
In both.
In.
I'm saying Memphis out.
Pitt. See ya.
You know, I got a real problem. David Todd, I'm going to end the show with this. David Todd tweeted out
I
that
know, I
Syracuse and Pitt are in the same situation right now. Are you kidding me? One is a lock to be in the tournament. The other one has 9 losses and no secondary score. And Syracuse is
Pitt has
missing.
9 losses now.
Yeah, Syracuse
Oh
is
my
missing
God.
one of their best players in Jeremy Grant, who's dealing with a back injury. So to say Pitt and Syracuse are in the same situation is just being a Pitt homer. I would gladly be in Syracuse's situation, being 1-4 to end the year, than in Pitt's situation.
Pitt is 22-8, 10-7.
Okay, they're gonna have a 9th loss though. They might lose to Clemson. They might lose to Clemson. For
They might
God's
lose to us 3 and 2 more. The way they're playing right now.
Kyle, you shut down Lamar Patterson, and I'll take James Robinson.
Yeah. No, I got the whole team by myself.
No, you get
Oh.
you got Zana, you get Patterson, I'll
What?
get Robinson.
Talib, the Dream? No,
Why? You can't
because
bang
he's
with him?
6'9". I can't. I'm 6'1". He's gonna dunk over me.
Whatever. Forget
Whatever.
it. You
All right.
can't play at the D1 level.
That's gonna do it for the 13th episode of the Out of Bounds podcast.
13?
Went kind of long today. That's okay. We had a trade deadline to wrap up. NFL free agency to preview. Tuesday, I'm not sure what we're gonna do. I know conference
We're-
tourneys start soon.
Yeah, we're gonna get into some baseball soon.
Ooh,
Kyle,
boy.
I know your boy Tanaka gave up a home run today.
Oh,
Okay.
send him back to Japan.
Curtis
There you
Granderson,
go.
2 home runs.
Spring training, babe.
So we'll get some baseball in soon.
Can't wait.
NCAA tournament. I think Sunday selection show.
Yes.
Is Sunday.
It's no next Sunday.
Next
It's
Sunday?
the Sunday we go on spring break.
Okay. So then we'll have that for you. So you definitely want to stay tuned. Why wouldn't you?
I don't know.
Follow
Don't tell
us at the OOBP.
Listen to us on iTunes, thepenn.org.
I like it.
You
You
know,
guys-
and
guys
follow
make-
us on Twitter. Kyle, you no longer are a follow.
What did
Killer
you change it to?
At Kyle Condor.
Oh,
Straight.
making it professional. I
Not
like it.
professional, it's just people know who I am. That's easy to they'll find me. You know?
Okay.
Follow me at Dimitri George, DEMETRI.
It's like when Bill Simmons used to be Sports Guy 33.
Yeah.
People knew who he was, but they couldn't find him.
You're right.
You know, I'm like the best guy out there. You type in Kyle Condor, there he is.
All right, guys.
All right, I'll stop.
For assistant producers Adam Clapp and Dimitri George and our guest Kyle Condor, I'm your host Josh Carney signing out.
All right, see ya.
What's going on, everybody? It's Kyle Condor. Just letting you know the Out of Bounds podcast is brought to you by the Penn, IUP student voice, with music provided by Beats by the Passion. High five. Don't forget to holler at your boys on Twitter at the OOBP, and you can also check out our podcast at thepenn.org or on iTunes.